What is going on, YouTube people? Was just watching the FAU San Diego State buzzer beater. Philmington should be along in a minute. He's having technical issues like he always does. Hell of an ending to that game. Hell of an ending. Watching that wind down. We'll see what the late game has in store for us. We'll probably go for, I don't know, an hour or so. I know Philmington can't stay super long, but we'll see when he gets logged in here. But yeah, nothing to talk about on a Saturday night. Absolutely nothing going on in the wonderful world of sports or sports cards or the hobby or whatever you want to call it. It has been a very quiet 10 days, no news. It's been great. I think I recorded more videos in the last 24 hours than I may have set a record. I may have set a record. So I recorded one Friday morning for the normal video, then the initial Beckett video, a second Beckett video, a third Beckett video. I just recorded tomorrow's video, and now I'm on a live stream, and I was on Carlos's live stream last night. So that's like 7 pieces of content in the last 48 hours, give or take there. So, yikes. See a bunch of regulars in the old chat machine. What do we got? Kamikaze, what's going on? Steve, what's going on? Mark, what's up? Worst job in the hobby right now, Beckett PR team. I saw the guy did the marketing guy did a quick interview with Jeff Wilson on Instagram Live, and he just looked like he was having a day. He's just like he was having a day. I forget that guy's name. I think I met him before. I don't remember. Yeah, great ending of that Final Four game. I kind of timed this perfect. Final Four game just ended. There'll be a little break in between games, and then we'll probably finish up before the second half of that game kicks off. BGS flip-flops again. What's up, McCracken? He was set up at a local show today. What's up, Rage? What's going on, Jose? Yeah, they are grading some stuff out of New Jersey. I glanced at gem rate numbers for like 0.2 seconds. I saw that they came up. So I did see that it was 1.22 million. That sets a new all-time record for them in the month of March. I did not make it to the Chantilly show. I was thought about going down there. I ended up not. In hindsight, it's probably better that I did not go, given all the nonsense that has been going on. Probably Monday for PSA pricing special, I would guess. Content creators and PSA are the two biggest winners in this whole Beckett debacle. What's going on, Toy Story? Ruined my Saturday morning YouTube watching. Oh my. Philmington, you give me a thumbs up whenever you're ready to go, buddy. I see you backstage there. But when you are good to go, you just tell me so. Beckett April Fools. This was not, listen, this comment's been thrown around a ton. This was not an April Fool's joke. I know people want to like run to that because of the timing of the calendar. I can 1,000% tell you for sure this was not an April Fool's joke. This was something that they planned. It was not an April Fool's joke. I could tell you with as much certainty as I could possibly tell you anything, this was not an April Fool's prank. No specs on PSA pricing, but like I said, we probably end up getting that Monday, I would imagine, with today being April 1st. They probably don't want to drop a pricing special on April Fool's and on a Saturday, so I assume we get that Tuesday. Hope everyone else having a nice weekend as well. Philmington, if you're good, you just give me a signal, buddy. Good? All right. The man, the myth, the legend, Philmington himself.
What's going on? Audio good?
Absolutely nothing. We have nothing to discuss. We have nothing to talk about. Yeah, nothing. How's, before we get into the nonsense real quickly, how's your fantasy baseball starting strong a day and a half into the season? Or are you already in last place and hating every pick that you made?
In a couple leagues, I think I lost like 3 players on one day with one of my early drafts. I guess that's what happens when you've got 2.5 to 3 weeks of spring training still, plus the WBC. Just things happen, like Reese Hoskins, Resale Iglesias, Jorge Polanco. I was happy with that draft too. And then it's like, well, I don't really have the offensive depth to be able to handle some of these injuries. So it's like, well, I don't like that team. One of my more recent teams, it's sort of a rebuild. It's a dynasty league. So we're able to get Anthony Volpe, Jordan Walker. They haven't done a whole lot yet. But hopefully they're able to contribute soon. We like that team. It's nice and young. And we do have Wander Franco in that one. So I sold a card last night, went at auction. Franco went for way less than the last comp, which was like 3 days earlier, even though he hit a home run his first game.
I saw that really was it a refractor auto?
Yeah, I promoted it and everything. Paid the extra, what is it, $1 to promote it?
I was doing research for tomorrow's video, and I saw I didn't end up talking about it because it was kind of a one-off sale, and I saw like a refractor auto sold for like 20% less or whatever. I forget what the percentage was, but a decent chunk less over like the last 7 or 14 days or whatever it was.
Yeah, the refractor 10 has a low pop too compared to J-Rod, same set. I think you're looking at like a pop of 30 with the refractor 10 with Wander. With J-Rod, it's like close to 90. So that one deserves to sell for like the full 3x premium over the PSA 9, in my opinion. But yeah, somebody got a deal. Hopefully it doesn't pay and I'm able to cancel in 4 days. So but that never happens.
No, when you want them to not pay, then they pay. But when you really want them to pay, then they take the full 4 days and make it drag out.
Yeah. Speaking of last night's auctions, this is timely. Jared Kelnick, True Gem. By true gem, I mean quad 9.5, because what does true gem mean nowadays? Probably means different things to different people now, right? Quad 9.5, Jared Kelnick. After the news broke, and I'm like, this is terrible. Like this is like the worst possible timing, because we were talking about it, Neo, and I'm like, the people might actually veto this. It's and you could tell from their social posts, it's like 95% negative feedback, and like the few positive comments, you probably scroll towards the bottom to see if you can find any. They're like 2 to 3 words usually. And there were some people that had some good points defending it. But yeah, man, I got hosed on that Kelnick. I lost probably $400 on that card. Probably could have made $500 more if it wasn't for that announcement. But yeah, what can you do? I'm just happy I've got other true gems. I'm happy that for now they're protected.
Well, I mean, we'll get into it here in a minute, but I mean, their statement that they put out this afternoon made it sound like we're still changing something. We just haven't fully figured it out yet, because it said at this time, which does not say never. So I still expect. I don't know how you put that cat back in the bag and don't do something after all this kind of happened. What it ends up being, God only knows. But I think there's still going to be some sort of change with their grading system, whether it's all 9.5s become gem mint 10s or whatever the case might be, or maybe they bump up true gems to kind of split the difference. I don't know, but yeah, that was. So what's your last, because you are a big baseball collector. You follow in a lot of big baseball social circles, and one of the main drivers of baseball is first Bowman autos, and one of the first Bowman autos main drivers is Beckett. Traditionally, there's tons of first Bowman autos and Beckett slabs. So like, what is you and your social circles last 36 hours been like with the Beckett nonsense?
Yeah, I mean, for the people that do a lot of Bowman, I didn't see anybody backing what they did. Granted, we are a pocket of, we're a big pocket right now of Beckett, of BGS, but we're probably small relative to the rest of collecting as a whole, right? So what I see, and I look at a lot of comps, that, like I put out like color multipliers on my Instagram page. I see true gem BGS, meaning like quad 9.5. I see those selling for like 20% more than min gem, or any derivation, any variation of the BGS 9.5 that has at least one subgrade. Could be min gem plus, whatever, but it'll go like a healthy amount over that usually. And the min gem usually sells for about 60% of a PSA 10. We're talking like modern Bowman Chrome autographs, like 2014 and forward. And like, I think 60% for min gem's pretty good. And I thought that for a true gem, like 72% is pretty good. And I thought for a true gem plus, like 75 to 80% of a PSA 10, I thought I didn't think they were being embarrassed there. And I think they're right, right in line with an SGC 10 gem mint. And I was thinking, like, I get like the whole, like, they think they missed out on this huge opportunity because of their grading scale. And I do agree, like, some change is warranted, but this is like the worst possible thing that they could have done, given, you've gone over the numbers. 85% of BGS 9.5s, which is probably their most commonly assigned grade, right? 85% of those get demoted or downgraded to mint plus all of a sudden. It's like you're taking a huge majority of your most commonly assigned grade, right? And you're just like crushing those. And the counterpoint to what I'm saying is, yes, they are getting embarrassed probably with like LeBron Topps Chrome rookies and like true grail cards, true high-end stuff in golden and PWCC auctions. And yeah, maybe they're doing like a third of the PSA 10. And I think that's like what prompted some of this. But at the end of the day, like, if they were to really go through with this, I see them, if they were to carry out, their Friday announcement, that's 3 pretty elusive 10 grades. And like, what's my use case for using Beckett, given that if only 15% of former cards, unless they change their standards for how they assign 10s, and maybe that's part of it, right? But if 15% of BGS 9.5's got their third best grade, then you've got a Pristine, which is really tough to get. Black Label is almost impossible to get. Like, what's my motive to send them stuff? And let's be real here. Like, if we had like a card that was a decent PSA 9, sometimes we'd send that to Beckett to get the BGS 9.5, maybe min gem, maybe a little bit higher, but that would sell for more than a PSA 9. So that would be another reason to send to Beckett. But if they made that a mint plus, and if it's selling in line with the PSA 9 and SGC 9.5, which, by the way, an SGC 9.5 for modern baseball, those sell for like 35 to 50% of a PSA 10. So the midpoint there, so 42.5%, a quad 9.5, as I said, 72% to 72% dropping to 42.5%. That's like a 40% drop. Like, that's percentage wise, that's like a 40% drop. That's serious value destruction. So yeah, we were all pretty pissed off. I start to like really try to reason, like, okay, why are they really trying to do this? And I'm like, people like me and you, Neo, we might submit to Beckett once or twice a year. We buy Beckett slabs, though. We trade them, we flip them. Maybe we're not considered their true customer. Their customer might be the people that are using their services often, right? And if they're not getting any cash flow, maybe the resale value doesn't matter as much, that aspect. Maybe the flipping and the fact that I don't mind picking up at Beckett and selling it, maybe I don't matter to them that much. And they're truly just going after the new people. Hey, look, we have a 10 gem mint. Granted, they could have rolled out like many different alternatives for changes, but I would have preferred just about anything versus the Friday announcement and how they broke it down. And maybe I'm biased because I have a lot of cards that have 4 and 9.5s, but I don't know. I just didn't think it was right what they did. And man, now the fact that they had to backtrack from it right away, there's damage already that's been done, right? I take some responsibility here because I put my hard-earned money into the slabs of a company that has a very deeply questionable long-term outlook with serious leadership issues. And this has been going on for years. You talked about this on your channel 3 years ago. Who dropped the ball the most during the pandemic? Some people said ComC. They've rebounded. They're doing a great job now. But yeah, Beckett was really the number one. Yeah, BGS, like, missed opportunity, one after another. SGC just like overtook them. Like, if we had gem rate data back then, it probably happened like sooner than we even knew. It's like, oh, they just got into ultra modern. Oh, they passed with Beckett. Well, that's crazy.
And that was with SGC actually having a pretty rocky start. Because remember, Peter did that interview. They got flooded with cards, and they were a disaster for like 6 months. People hated them. Remember, everyone sent them their cards because they said send them their cards, and then everyone was immediately pissed because they had their cards for like 6 or 7 months, and people were super pissed at SGC. But they managed to bounce back from that. All the while, Beckett was doing nothing.
Yeah. So as you can tell, I'm pretty fired up. I usually don't post negative feedback, even if it is constructive sometimes, on social media. But yeah, I just couldn't help myself. I had 4 comments on their Instagram page, probably 1 or 2 on Twitter.
That's not what I was laughing.
So, I mean, that's the time when like that type of criticism can affect change, I thought. So it's like this, I'm not going to regret making these posts. And granted, you know, other people like Scotty B and others had some other posts that maybe got bumped up a little bit more and got more likes. I felt it was my responsibility to say something, if not make a video, which I know some people did. I just didn't get a chance to. 24 hours goes by, not even, right? And they just backtracked, right?
Yeah, it really didn't take them long. And, you know, and like I said in a video today, I guess, you know, you got to give them some credit for at least, I guess, being willing to say, all right, we screwed this up. We're gonna put a pause on this and reevaluate it, versus just being like, we know more than you do, and we're just gonna ram this down your throat. So, you know, I'll give them a little +1 for that at minimum. You know, because a lot of companies would. I mean, how many times have we seen? And I've seen other people point this out, like Panini do dumb stuff and just be like, "Hey guys, that's what it is. Sorry that you don't like it. You know, this is it. You're stuck with it." So I'll give him credit for at least listening, and we'll see what ends up shaking out from it. But to your point, the damage could be done already. To some degree, consumer confidence is going to be shaken in them, at least in the short term, at minimum, and maybe even longer, for a company that was already kind of, you know, like you said, kind of lost second and was in a dogfight for, you know, maintaining second or being right there in second place in the hashtag grading wars.
Yeah. I don't know. Yeah, I'm just like really caused me a lot of stress, to be honest. And like you look back at like some of the dumbest things that corporations have done over the last 6 months. Like I don't know if I can name anything worse than what they did. Like we talked about this a little bit. Now you've probably spoken about it on your channel, Neo, about how CSG, like the steps that they took to change the grading scale. It's like that was a case study. Granted, there's not as much stuff in existing holders, and you can't do as much analysis on like the data of like how comps are changing based on what they did. But it seemed to go over really well, really seamless and really quickly, and people forgot all about it. And they're like, all right, yeah, 10's gem mint now. Yeah, this was weird. Like you have to think like how many people made this decision. I know they said that they consulted with collectors and they made it sound like it was a decision that took a long time to create. But it's like, if that's the case, then why did you screw up the sign at Mint Collective? Like, how is that possible? You know?
Yeah, I don't know how much the sign was screwed up versus they were already starting to backpedal Friday night into the next day.
Oh, okay, that's interesting.
You know what I mean? Like I think the sign is what they wanted to do. My guess is the sign is what they wanted to do. They immediately started catching heat, backpedaled a little bit, and then, you know, backpedaled completely would be my guess on how that kind of laid out. And I do know that they were researching for a while on this, for that is an accurate quote, that they did focus groups and product studies and things like that. Now, you know, what all that feedback was, you know, we don't know. Did they listen to it? Did they not listen to it? Did they take pieces and parts of it? We, you know, that's the part that we don't know. But I do at least know that they did do some research into it for sure. But, you know, to me, I get wanting to get rid of 9.5 as your main grade. Like I do kind of see that, like to their point, like their initial statement of the reason that we're doing this is that we want our gem mint grade to be in line with the rest of the industry standard. Cool. But you can't throw out 85% of your cards and say that they're not labeled as gem mint anymore. Even if, and you know, a lot of people have brought this up, and it's true, the secondary market already kind of takes a BGS 9.5 and prices them differently, to your point earlier with the percentages. So that's already there. So in theory, in a perfect world, if we all lived in a bubble, this change really shouldn't affect anything in the grand scheme of things. You know what I mean? Like the subgrades are still the subgrades. They should probably still sell for the same percentages they did before. But it feels bad to know that 85% of your cards just became mint plus instead of gem mint. Like from a perception standpoint, it's just not great. It doesn't feel good. You're going to piss people off. And that's really the hitch. The card inside the holder is still the same card that it was before this announcement came out and after this announcement came out. But I mean, you and I both know that that's not how it works. Otherwise, if it did, a PSA 10, an SGC 10, a BGS 95, and a CSG 10 would all sell for the same amount of money. So the label, how it's labeled, the wording that's on there, what color the holder is, all that ancillary crap that really shouldn't matter does matter quite a bit. And I think that's where I don't want to, they didn't give that, I guess, enough respect that it deserved, that ancillary stuff is actually extremely important, even though the card in the holder is the same card as it was yesterday as today.
Yeah, I see that point. I think in the short term, maybe the impact is small. Maybe people's preferences towards certain subgrades being certain, 9.5 versus 10, maybe that would help overlook the fact that the overall condition is considered something different. But I think 3-5 years from now, I think it would more and more people coming into the hobby being like, well, this is Mint Plus, SJC 9.5 is Mint Plus. My SJC 9.5, there's a comp for this. There's not one for BGS 9.5 Mint Plus. And this was 40% of a PSA 10. So I'm not going to pay X amount over the comp just because it's in a Beckett holder and you think it's worth more. Personally, I was ready to decrease my expectations for all of my cards that are currently in Min Gem holders. I was ready to not seek out Min Gems at a certain price point because of the condition change. I was ready to adjust my expectations from a buyer and seller perspective. Same thing with quad 9.5, unfortunately. Stuff I already have or stuff I see at a show where I think that there's an arbitrage opportunity. Like, great. Like, that's all Beckett did. That was like a positive for collectors. Oh, more arbitrage opportunities for those that are willing to take the time to do it. But like, getting cards removed from your holders, is that really a win? You made some people happy, but
yeah, because if they actually went through with this change, what would ever be the point to keep a card in a True Gem slab? Like, you would just crack it and send it to PSA and roll the dice. On average, you're probably, if you send 10 cards, even if 70% come back a PSA 10, even if 60% come back a PSA 10, and ideally it would probably actually be a little bit higher if you cracked them, but you're still coming out ahead in that case. Because to your point from earlier, if they went through with this, there's probably a decent chance that True Gems trend closer to a PSA 9 than further away. So what are you really losing out, other than maybe a little bit of time and a grading fee, depending on the type of card that you're sending in? That can be pretty pricey. But
yeah, it's extra annoying. Like, the more you think about it, the more angry I get. Like, people are asking, like, well, what about the cards with no subgrades that have a 9.5?
Yeah, so someone brought that up, and that's something that they didn't address. Like,
yeah,
I have no idea what they were going to do with those.
Are you going to send those in and pay money to get them reholder and get them devalued? So now for sure it's a Mint Plus. You have 85%
you'd almost
chance.
be better off to keep it with no subgrades.
Yeah,
and it's the mystery.
And all of a sudden, it's worth more than my True Gem 9.5, according to Beckett's eyes. In some people's eyes, they view it that way.
And the thing we were talking about last night on Carlos's live stream was, if you submit now and you select no subgrades, and it comes back a BGS 10 with no subs, Gem Mint, it's at least a True Gem or a True Gem Plus.
Yeah.
Or I'm sorry, a True Gem Plus or a True Gem Plus.
Yeah, it's narrowed down to one of those two.
It's one of those two. You don't know what the individual subgrades are, but you probably don't care at that point anyway.
Right.
Because you have a Gem Mint 10 Beckett, which is,
Yeah, to somebody's point, I think Jason's making this point. I personally, from, again, modern baseball, that's my lens. With stuff, higher end stuff, grails, again, like Steph Curry rookies, Topps Chrome stuff, very different. But from the stuff that I operate in, my genre, I wouldn't have been surprised if they rolled this out the way that they were expected to, based on Friday night. Again, I could see resale value not increasing on anything, even their new 10s, because again, True Gem Plus already did pretty well with Bowman Chrome autograph. With other modern baseball stuff, probably not as much, not as well, like with Topps flagship. Beckett isn't as adored for those brands. For Topps Chrome autographs, it does okay. Bowman Chrome and Bowman Chrome autographs, it does really well. But I would not be paying more for a BGS 10 than a BGS 9.5 True Gem Plus for instance, just because of that number. Now, maybe there's like a second order effect where it becomes more liquid because people get tricked into, okay, it's a superior card now because it's got a 10. Maybe it's more liquid. All right, maybe in that case I could have a different opinion, but just seeing how like what you were just saying, like BGS 9.5, well, it's still the same card afterwards, same condition. It's just the plastic's different, or it's just if you were to reholder it, the label will be different, right? It's it's the fourth best grade now. That's where it's changed as well. It's Beckett's fourth best grade as a 9.5 if they were to roll it out based on.
Yeah, but the market already treated it as the fourth best grade.
Third best grade because there wasn't a 10 gem mint, right?
But I'm saying that the market treated it as Black Label,
oh, got it,
Pristine,
yeah.
True Gem Plus,
okay,
True Gem Plus, True Gem, Min Gem. So even though they weren't labeled, the market naturally treated it as the fourth or fifth best grade.
But now you look at the alt app and you see the different, you can see all the top points together, and you're like, there's like, not only is there a 10, but there's a 10 Pristine, there's a 10 Black Label. Yeah. Like, oh, damn, I'm really low in the totem pole. I lost my leverage. I don't know.
The people that were really having heart attacks last night were data tool people. Of how the hell they were going to handle this.
Well, at least, so all of the data tools, the top three at least, if we consider alt to be one of them, they at least allow you to drill into the most recent sales so you can see the subgrades. And you wouldn't need to do that as much in a current world where subgrades matter less because, like you said, the 10 gem mint, if they roll that out based on Friday, it would give you more information. But to your point, to like, how do you like transform? Yeah. That would be very difficult with CSG.
Not the case. Gem right, I know that he was not thrilled about what this was going to do to some of his back end stuff.
Right.
And I'll pull up Jason's comment here. You can't keep subgrades and make any significant reasonably accepted changes. I actually think you can. The subgrades to me don't really, like I've said in multiple videos already, the easy switch here, if you wanted to do this, was everything that's currently a Gem Mint 9.5, the subgrades all stay the same. It just becomes a Gem Mint 10. And that's your change. You're literally just changing the 9.5 to a 10. You're on basically a hybrid PSA model where you have a 9, then it jumps to a 10, and then you have 2 10s above that. To me, the bigger problem that kind of really jacks Beckett around on these changes isn't the subgrades, it's the Pristine 10. Because if the Pristine 10 did not exist, this, I think, would be a way more easier sell. And even though a Pristine 10 is only 2% of the population, or 2.5% of the population, the fact that you have that extra 10 grade in there between your Gem Mint and your Black Label, I think causes a lot of their headaches. That 2.5% of the population, I think, really messes with a lot of their mojo in regards to switches. Because if you just took all 9.5s and made them Gem Mint 10 and Pristine didn't exist and Black Label did exist, I think a lot of people will probably feel pretty okay with that. And then just let the market determine the nuances of the subgrades like they do now. You're just calling it a 10 instead of a 9.5. It's just a marketing ploy, basically.
Yeah, it would be a much cleaner transition, like you said, if they didn't have the BGS 10 Pristine. Now, it wouldn't be, that would be another bad idea for them to walk away from that. Like, oh, no more BGS 10 Pristines. Those are actually Gem Mint now. It's like, this is one area where you actually outsell the PSA 10. Maybe not a lot in many cases, maybe 10% more. In some cases, 2x, 3x, maybe 4x in some, isolated cases. But like, be happy about that. Like, you have a shitty company. Like, you're dragging Jim Beckett's name into the ground. There's nothing left. Like, either way, like, this is a Hail Mary. Like, the most simple way to look at this was they're backed into a corner. They're going to fail. They were desperate. This was the most bold move they could make with this, their Friday plan to change the scale like the way they wanted to. Either way, all paths lead to them closing down in 1 to 3 years, in my opinion. I don't know the financials, but this is a company that's been struggling for a while. I don't know. I just don't see it. Maybe they get acquired. Hey, maybe they change their grading scale to exactly like somebody else's, and maybe it makes them easy to get acquired. And maybe, we were talking about CSG and SGC being good fits. Hey, maybe it'll be Beckett in one of those two companies. I don't know, man.
Yeah, the whole thing is very messy. I heard some wild stories today from people at shows with dealers trying to figure out how to price this stuff. Someone that was walking around Chantilly saw a deal go down for, I forget what the card was, but it was a True Gem Plus, and the dealer put a hefty premium on it, and the guy paid it because of this it was going to be a Beckett Gem Mint 10. And I wonder how they're feeling this evening after this got now walked back. Like, because that's the other thing. Like, if you're the seller, you're pumping up the Gem Mint 10 aspect. If you're the buyer, you're going to pick it apart. It's just, I couldn't imagine trying to negotiate for Beckett cards this weekend at a show. I don't know if you talked to anyone or you were at a show Friday night. I don't know how much of an impact this had yet at that point because it was still pretty fresh. But
yeah, I don't have any True Gem Plus cards right now. I sold a couple recently. Wish I had held on to them. Well, now I guess maybe not. But I was slashing my prices. I sent you a Juan Soto Bowman Chrome Auto Refractor price. I was trying to offload stuff basically in case this would stick. So like the 4 9.5s, I was ready to lower stuff. Going down a few hundred, not anything crazy, not like 20% under market yet, but because this seemed like something that maybe they would overturn. And we slowly but surely saw the amount of negative feedback pouring in. When did that start? Was that last night
instantly?
Or this morning? Yeah, exactly. I think it was, last night.
It got leaked Thursday night on Twitter. Slacker Cards tweeted it out. That's where I saw it first. And then I purposely held off on doing the video because I didn't want to talk about it until we knew the details. Because just seeing their board, you really don't know the full details yet. On the original picture, it was True Gems were going to be Gem Mint Plus and better, but you didn't have the full layout yet. And, I wanted to wait to see because the devil was really going to be in the details on this, and then I think what happened was people saw that, gave them feedback, that pushed them to change it to Mint True Gem Plus. And then, it blew up even more from there. Like, I just don't know how you can sit down in a room and look at the numbers and go, we're going to take our Gem Mint pool and 85% of it is instantly going to be Mint Plus now, and think that that's going to be accepted. That's a lot of cards. You have 20 plus years of grading. I don't know what the actual physical number is. I could probably ask Gemrate, but yeah, we were talking most of the day on Friday, and I was DMing him, and I was like, hey, because I know that he has most of this stuff, and I was like, hey, we were kind of working through it together, and I'm like, can you pull this? And he's like, yeah. And then we looked at that, and then I'm like, can we take it a step further? Because originally I had him pull the percentages of what the total Beckett population was to see how many black labels even existed. And it's 0.2%, 2.5% Pristine, and 35% 9.5s. And then I was like, can we drill down even deeper? That's how we ended up getting at all those numbers, because he has most of the data. There's probably some rounding errors in there, but it gives you a macro level sense. And I saw on Blowout, people were curious to see if the math was correct, and they looked at some high pop Beckett cards and broke it down on an individual card basis, and it was within plus or minus 5% on multiple cards that they looked at. So even looking at an individual card that had a high population, it kind of still, in ultra modern, or at least it still kind of broke down in that same 0.2% to 2.5, 15 and 85 or 85, whatever it is. So I don't know how you look at that number and be like, yeah, let's just piss off 85% of our slabs.
Yeah, the 9.5s. Yeah. So Scotty B cards, a lot of people know him. You watch his stuff for baseball.
Yeah, we DM'd each other for a little bit today for the first time. I've never actually talked to him before today directly.
Oh, cool. Yeah, so he's a guy that he buys a lot of Beckett stuff, and he targets Min Gems. And that's because he perceives those to be good value versus a PSA 9.
I'm the same way. I mean, a lot of my Tatum Green is a True Gem. My Luca Blue, is a Min Gem. My Luca Blue is a Min Gem, because you get really good deals on them.
Right.
You really do. And it's a solid card.
Well, it's debatable here. So some people might think it's basically equal to a PSA 9 or a higher end PSA 9. I'm a little bit more in that camp. Some Min Gems that I've seen are this, there'd be a 95% chance that this would not cross to a PSA 10 if I took it out of its holder. It's clearly not there. And maybe that's not fair, because PSA just has, the 9 and the 10 that they assign 90% of the, their grades in holders to, but which is another issue. But like him, like Scotty B always thought that paying 30% more than a PSA 9 or 40% more, 45% more, he thought that getting that gem mint like condition, that grade, that would be like the affordable way to get a gem mint card. And he just thought there was value there. I didn't always think that. Alico 3 and other people, we always thought that they were kind of overvalued based on what you're buying. You're just buying like a nicer PSA 9. Nolan calls them on his channel fake gems. If it has like the 3 9.5 and a 9, it doesn't even consider it like a real gem mint card. And that's kind of spread to me, I think. And I've sought out true gems. Now, Scotty B doesn't have any true gem cards. None. Because he thinks that it's probably unnecessary. So it's like you see certain like people's collections, like it wasn't like a perfectly distributed like value destruction. Like Shine 150 and others that are spending like $400,000 on Beckett slabs. That's a different story. But like, it's like it's just seemed very arbitrary. Like, all right, this is what we're doing going forward. It's like, all right, well, I was talking to Scotty B today and I'm like, whatever they do like this coming week or next week when they fix this and decide to go in a different direction, I have a feeling that they're going to pivot to keep more people happy given what happened. Like, can you really afford to piss people off twice? So I have a feeling that the min gems are going to be safe. And that'll be good for Scotty B and others where that's like all they have. And they have a ton of Beckett stuff. Like for me, maybe 20% or 30% of my collection. Like I've made a point to not keep that percentage any higher. Like I do have a Juan Soto Black 4 9.5s. And I forgot about that till this morning. I'm like, oh no, like I do have like a big card in a quad 9.5. And I'm like, I'm just doing the math and I'm like, all right, 30 to 40% loss on that one. If people are truly to treat it like an SEC 9.5 equivalent.
To Craig and Garga, we kind of touched on this earlier. You're not wrong here.
Right.
But just because you don't submit the BGS doesn't mean you own a lot of BGS cards. You're right. I don't send a lot of cards to BGS for grading, but I own a lot of BGS slabs. There's two different customer bases here. There's the ones actually submitting, and then there's the ones owning the cards who might get there without actually submitting. Here's a fun one on the value game. I've used this example a lot.
Yeah.
Min Gem plus. Like, should this now be a mint plus? It has 2 10s and 1 9 and a 9.5 under their proposed thing. This is a mint plus card. When in reality, this would sell for probably true gem value at least, if not maybe a little bit better in some cases. I don't know, how do you handle stuff like where this is kind of like the super niche oddball, like where if this was a first Bowman auto, where would this come down in your rankings?
Yeah, well, for that I would pay the same as min gem to keep it simple, just because I think that's how people treat it. There's too many variants for people to like accurately assign standardized multipliers for each of those 11 different combinations. There's also 3 10s and an 8.5 can get you 9.5. I've seen. So like it was up to me. Like the simplest way to do it is just to like multiplication, right? Like what's the average? 10 plus 10 plus 9.5 plus 9 divided by 4. That's 9.5 or greater, right? So, and maybe this is how HGA does it. They've gotten torn apart for it, but like maybe that's like a fair way to do this. And then min gems still get the mint plus tag. Like maybe that's the best way to do it if I was to do it, but who knows what they're going to do now. The pendulum's going to swing. It went from a really bad decision this way to another really bad decision this way. But no, that's a good point with the comment you shared. Like the people that are complaining are the people that aren't necessarily true customers of Beckett. So it's like, we got to understand our place too. Like they're trying to cater to people that submit to them and maybe a market that doesn't exist that would rather shoot for a 10 gem mint versus a 9.5 gem mint. And maybe that market, maybe they'd never really be able to tap into it anyways. Who knows? Maybe it's just not that big. I mean, look at the positive comments on their social media posts. If there's 5 or 6 of them, maybe they would end up submitting tens of thousands of cards to them. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm guessing the positive comments came from people that have large collections of pristine 10s.
Okay, that's interesting.
If I had a vested interest in pristine 10s, if I had to,
or just a bunch of like BGS 9s and 8.5s.
Yeah, because like my Jordan scoring king's an 8.5. I don't have to sweat that at all. That's cool. Like, it didn't affect any of the low. I mean, in a way, it indirectly affects it because there is like that just general loss of consumer confidence in the company. It'll be interesting to just kind of see like almost how the non-gem mint stuff trends. Like BGS 9.5s kind of always sold a little bit less than a PSA 9. Like typically, like there's a little bit of a gap there. Do we see that widen? Even though a BGS 9 technically wasn't wrapped up in this, but are people going to be like running out there to buy Beckett slabs with? Because really, until that's kind of, they kind of put themselves in a bind here too over the next week because they said we're going to hold off, which I get. We'll announce something next week. That's cool. But what are you doing if you're trying to buy or sell a Beckett slab until that announcement comes out? Like you're really in unknown territory right now. Like in regards to running something at auction or trying to close a deal on something. By Friday, that could be a min gem to a gem mint to a who the hell knows what. Like, do they make everyone happy? Do they piss people off even more? Do you even want a card in a Beckett slab? There's just like so many variables until they lock this in. So there's like kind of that weird aspect of it too. Like they kind of left it open ended on that statement to a degree, which I get, but there's going to be some short-term turmoil there.
Yeah, you could take advantage of the
buying opportunity, potentially. Who knows?
Yeah, you could take advantage of the uncertainty if you want to play that game or find a card that you think would favorably cross into a PSA holder. So, and it's easier to do that when you're seeing the card in person. Beckett, it's so hard to see through the damn slab, though. Yeah, it's so cloudy half the time.
It's impossible to rate the surface on a Beckett card.
Yeah, back to what you were saying.
I've looked at some, and they just look like they're completely jacked because the inner sleeve's scuffed, and the surface looks like it would be like a 5 surface grade. And you're just like, what is happening with this card? Like,
you take it out and it's perfectly fine. You're like, oh, Jesus.
That's why I like CSGs because the case is crystal clear. You can evaluate the card a little bit easier.
Yeah, perfect. I love those slabs. Yeah, so back to like BGS 9s. I always was kind of so SGC 9 versus BGS 9. They probably sell for about the same. I always thought that BGS 9 should sell for a little bit more just because you didn't have a mint plus with Beckett. So you'd think like some of those higher end BGS 9s that might fall into a mint plus would be characterized as BGS 9. Now, your opinion of that might be, well, the mint plus is really the min gem. So BGS 9 versus SGC 9 are really the same grade, but I didn't take it that way. I was always like, well, because there's no 9.5 mint plus with Beckett yet, like there was with SGC. I always thought BGS 9 should sell for closer to, I wouldn't say a PSA 9, but actually, yeah, closer to a PSA 9 than an SGC 9. But that hasn't been the case, and that's because, there's general resale values and preferences and PSA 10 versus BGS 9.5 and all that.
Yeah, and if I'm the competition right now, like if I'm CSG, if I'm SGC, I'm looking at this and I'm going, okay, what kind of crack and cross special can we run Monday morning? Send us your Beckett slabs for $8 and we'll fairly evaluate them, crack them out for you, and put them in our case. I don't know how many people will take advantage of that because sending in the slab is always dicey, at least the PSA anyway. I don't know how many people have sent Beckett slabs into CSG or SGC to crack and cross, but we all know with PSA it's kind of not the smartest thing to do. You got to crack it if you want to really send it. But if I'm CSG, I'm putting out a special Monday morning that says if you send a Beckett slab in, $5, whatever they could do, regardless of card value, and we'll reholder it. I don't know how much business they would get from that, but
yeah, CSG might look at those slabs more favorably. You've got some crossover with like the talent from Beckett, so they respect maybe the grading process a little bit more.
That's true. Yeah,
or maybe they don't.
Yeah.
Versus PSA kind of having that chip on their shoulder. I think SGC would be fair too if you send something their way.
Yeah. Rascal, I think the only reason we don't have new specials yet is because it's Saturday and it's April Fool's. It would be pretty dumb to announce a pricing special today with their new special ending yesterday. I fully expect I will be doing a video Monday afternoon with a new PSA pricing special. I'd be shocked if I'm not. So that's my 2 cents on that one.
Gem rate data.
Yeah. Teams at the mint. Yeah.
I know we don't want to get into too much, but what was their volume in March PSAs?
It was wild. I can pull it up real quick. They set a PSA and SGC set an all-time record. That's
That's why there's no specials, because blame it on Pokemon, guys. That's why we can't have affordable sports card grading, because the volumes are just crazy on that side.
Yeah, let me pull it up on the other screen here. 1 second. Boom.
Oh my god!
So we got 1.2 million, which is an all-time record for PSA. 121,000, which is an all-time record for SGC. And I don't have it here. It's in his comments. This is I think it's like a 20% increase year over year from last March for PSA, and like a 17% increase for SGC year over year. And then Beckett is a 7% decrease year over year from last March. Let's see what the individual numbers here. This will probably be Monday or Tuesday's video. Yeah, 4% drop for Beckett for March, which is, you're always going to kind of have on the sports card side. TCG, their TCG special, up 20%. CGC down 20%. I wonder where that business went. SGC, after their TCG special, kind of, people burn through that. They're back down to where they used to be with a 20% drop. Beckett's still doing good in TCG. Look at the freaking PSA chart, man. Look at
a lot of people.
it's so stupid.
I used to be in this camp too. Like, oh, why doesn't PSA just drop their rates to just shut like the other guys out of business, take them out of business? It's like they already have 80-85% of the market share. Like, I think that's fine. They don't have to be a true monopoly to kill it with profits, especially because that's going to be at the cost of their revenues and profits if they are to run more specials. So unfortunately, I've sucked it up and I was like, I'm never going to submit again until they get down to 15 consistently. And I'm just like, whatever, 19, I'll just do it. I'll just be more selective with cards and I'll just send them some here and there. But yeah, with the economy the way it is, and geez, which maybe isn't that bad, but I don't know. We don't want to get it. We shouldn't get in that, but yeah, it's just crazy. It's crazy, like that it's that number now, given like how, the market has kind of slowed with cards and with everything else going on in the world.
I'm looking for the, yeah, it's just their numbers are absolutely wild when you look at that. Yeah, they continue that. People were commenting, talking about the fact that, the backlog's clear now, and everyone was all, there was a lot of speculation. Oh, wait till the backlog gets clear. No one's going to be submitting anymore. We're going to see all these grading numbers drop off a cliff. Right. And yet the backlog's been clear at all these companies for months now. And, SGC and PSA climb every single month. We don't know what CSG's do. Their CSG has pop report data, so we have no idea what theirs looks like. They do well on the TCG side. They struggle on the sports card side still, even though they probably have the best holder in the game out of all the major ones. Though I know you're biased for HGA slabs lately.
Hey, if it's, I don't want to slam them too much. I already kind of did on social media because I'm going to be showing more cards too. Now they might know my name and they might start to give me less than gem mint grades and stuff.
You're probably the number one influencer now.
I could be. I just think that I think the custom slabs look cool, and I think in a time where the market's kind of flat, I'm just like, okay, this might be a cool card for a collector. With baseball, as you know, there's probably a higher percentage of collectors versus flippers versus basketball and football. And I feel like that's like a Stephen Kwan, kind of like a cult hero type guy. Just like, I know you like it from Cleveland, but like there's just like certain players and certain cards where I think people will pay extra for the HGA if it like looks cool with like a custom holder. So I've got a Hunter Green holiday. I know you like the Topps holiday. It's the red metallic, and I'm having really like nice. A Christmas holiday themed label with it, and Spencer Stride. I don't know if you saw this, but it was like a snake skin prism variation from Panini Prism autographs, like number to 35, PSA 6. Hopefully they don't listen. So I'm gonna crack that out, send it to HGA. I'm gonna get like snakes, like a boa constrictor. I might even get like, that movie Snakes on a Plane with Samuel L. Jackson? Might ask if I can get like his face added to it, but I don't want them to get in trouble again with like copyright.
Yeah, I don't have them steal artwork again. Come on.
I don't know. That'd be a badass card, you know. I don't know. Who knows?
There's like 10 years from now, there's going to be like some interesting, not even 10 years from now, you could almost do one now. Like some very interesting, like college level course business studies that could be done on like HGA and Beckett and like Star Stock and some of these other companies of like sit down and be like, this, like HGA should have worked in the grand scheme of things. Like you like start over again and have different management in place, like the concept and what they wanted to do, like should have worked. They just couldn't get out of their own way. Like Star Stock in theory is a good idea. Like, but once again, they kind of like jumped it up, started getting into braking, didn't really know what they were doing, and it kind of fell apart. And like, you know, Beckett just not doing anything for 3 years straight is another one. You could take a positive one on the flip side of like SGC was irrelevant in ultra modern, and now after this weekend, they're I don't think there's any argument. They are clearly the number 2 grader. In my opinion, in my opinion, they were already there. A lot of people were like, "Oh, well, Beckett's right there," and they kind of were, at least from a resale value standpoint, not a monthly output standpoint, but like hobby respect level, they were neck and neck at 2. I think after this weekend, SGC is clearly number 2, and Beckett's clearly number 3, with CSG in 4th, and then probably your boys and a bunch of others down in 5th and lower. But yeah, I think there's some wild business review. I remember doing like breaking down businesses in my senior year of college, and like some of these companies that you could go deep diving on after the fact now. Some craziness.
Yeah, a couple things that come out there where SGC really gained a lot of traction yesterday. Beckett giving more credence to the basically almost universally adopted grading scale that SJC launched, with the 9.5 being the Mint Plus, and you see other companies kind of jump on board doing the same thing. So Beckett's kind of solidifying that is like, you know, PSA is not there yet, but it's kind of consistent with what PSA is doing at least. But almost all the other companies are on that scale. And the second part is, the negative publicity, trust in your company. Like SJC is a small company, and you know, there could be a little bit of doubt as to like longevity maybe, or like financially, like are they able to make it through the next boom versus like a PSA being more capitalized, having more money behind it. But you know, Beckett, like their reputation, I think, just is getting damaged from all this negative publicity. No matter what they do now, they're just going to lose a lot of trust. And then the third thing could be resale values. If they end up making a stupid decision, some sort of closely related hybrid idea that, you know, related to what they tried to push yesterday, then resale value could take another step back. So SGC 1, and obviously PSA 1. You know, these companies, when they do dumb stuff like this, it just makes it easier for PSA to dominate.
CSG could be an interesting winner just from like, you know, not guilt by association, I guess.
Right.
They'll take anything that they can get at this point for a win in the sports card space. So even if they just gain 5% of, or even 1% of Beckett submissions, they would probably be thrilled about that, to see that gap close a little bit. Because all they need really is just a little bit of narrative to start giving them a little bit of bounce. Because everyone, I don't know why the secondary market hates. I can see, like, I get them not selling anywhere close to PSA, but the gap between like a CSG 10 and an SGC 10 to me is still surprising. Because they are, you know, a legitimate company, and their slabs are the best on the market. So I'm surprised that they don't get at least a little bit more respect in that case. But I don't know.
Yeah, you know, with me, I don't have much familiarity with like their grading standards. I know at the beginning, and they might have changed this. Here's another part of the issue. It's like when you start to change stuff with like how strict you are with certain attributes like surface, like consistency is key. So being strict is one thing, but consistency to me, and I think to most people, is more important for a trait. So once they start to change things, but yeah, my unfamiliarity with the how they grade, you know, versus the others, and if I can trust them, I don't know. If I'm buying the card at a show, it's a little bit easier, like you said, you know, crystal clear plastic too. But when you're buying it online, it's like, am I missing something in the back? Is there like a corner ding on the back? Is there some surface thing that I can't see? Is there some sort of indent? With SGC, at least they've been around for a long time, and they have that established reputation with vintage and growing reputation with modern stuff. So yeah, it might take a little bit for CSG to catch up to SGC resale wise. I think, if Beckett ends up blowing up, then all of a sudden there's less competition with regards to like having a modernized like next generation holder. Because I know a lot of people like Beckett holders.
Mm-hmm.
Well, then you've got like, there's even more separation between like the top three. And CSG really stands out, in my opinion, with the best holder. And that's a reason for me to actually prefer CSG over SGC if I was to like submit stuff myself. And especially if it's PC. I just think SGC, they could make some changes and they will eventually. So this argument, gets thrown away when that happens. But I think some of these new school holders, even though the grading companies are jokes, like Rare Edition, maybe it's not a joke, but they're not taken very seriously. The Rare Edition holder, it's like 2 iPhones glued together, 2 first-gen iPhones. And then you've got CSG, even HGA. I know they're a joke, but like people have seen those holders and they look so nice. Then you've got SGC. It's kind of like, it's like archaic looking, rigid. I know it's easy to crack open. Some people like that. I don't like that. I don't like the fact that you can crack that open easy.
Crack open.
Yeah.
I mean, to me, that's the biggest thing holding SGC back from like taking the next step up is the holder. That's why, the running joke is that I want SGC and CSG to merge into one entity because I just think it makes so much sense. If you took SGC's reputation and customer service and Peter and mesh that with CSG's slab basically and financial backing and capability to upscale, like to me, that's the perfect company. You know what I mean? Like SGC's reputation and CS with CSG slab, like if you want to make a run at PSA, that's probably how you're going to do it. Or if you just want to clearly establish yourself as number 2, merge those 2 companies together and form whatever you want to call it.
Maybe, maybe they stay separate because if there's not like an emerging threat, PSA is going to dominate probably for the next 10 years, barring something, extreme and unforeseen happening. Maybe if Beckett goes away and if they think Beckett's going to go away, then maybe they're just satisfied as being the 2 and 3 in whatever order right now, obviously is SGC, but from a TCG perspective, different, but maybe, maybe they're just satisfied and profitable and happy where they are. I always thought like they'd have to get together to survive this, but like they've made it this far.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like we always sit here and people in the comments, just in general, like we all kind of argue and talk about like who's number 1, who's number 2, who's number 3. How's this company going to move up from 3 to 2, this, that, and the other thing. The aspect of this that we don't know is how profitable they are. CSG could be perfectly content sitting in 4th because maybe they're making a 30% return on everything and everyone's happy with that. And that's perfectly fine. Obviously the companies want to grow as long as they're showing consistent growth and kind of working their way up the food chain slowly but surely. Maybe everyone's sitting around a boardroom on a Friday and going, hey guys, we had a great quarter. Sure, we're out in throughput, we're number 4. Sure, in resale value, we're number 4, but we're turning a 30-35% profit every month. Cool. Keep doing what you're doing. That's the part that we don't know. Like it doesn't look good on a gem rate chart, but executives in a boardroom could be quite content with what's going on. That's the aspect that we have no clue on, or it could be the opposite. Maybe it's a mess and everyone's going to get fired. Who knows? That's the part that we have no concept of how these companies are actually performing financially.
Yeah, you can tell they're not just sitting on their laurels, like with SGC and some of the promotions they've launched, trying to get into spaces where they're the number 3, like with Bowman Chrome,
or TCG, the Pokemon special.
Exactly. So like I like that. I like the competitive drive, and I can see them still competing. They're not just sitting on their thumbs. But maybe they're, like you said, maybe there's just no reason for them to panic, and Beckett goes away, then all of a sudden there's less competition there too. Doesn't look like HGA is making a run anytime soon. And a lot of people were asking me, like, are they still open? Good question. The website actually works pretty well, though. By the way, not
a lot of traffic.
I must disclose this. I am a paid sponsor. I'm just kidding. No.
How long until HGA slabs are in RC explosion boxes?
That's it. Once I can't sell them, I guess, on eBay. I don't know.
That's how this ends up. You'll be sending HGA grading 20% off coupons and RC explosion boxes.
Yeah. Hey, and we forgot to talk about tag. Maybe that's another
Oh
nice,
yeah,
next
we
generation
forgot
holder.
about tag.
It's because they don't accept any cards. I tried to. I was
I
like
thought they do
37th
now,
in the
like
waiting
5 a
line.
week or something.
Yeah, yeah. Maybe they're just not ready yet. So we'll get there.
Jeremy's
We'll
gonna
talk
yell
about
at us when he sees us the national.
it. Yeah. All right, man. I got to jump. It's at the hour mark. It's been a pleasure, man.
Thanks for popping on for a little bit. Good luck in your Beckett woes and good luck in your fantasy baseball season. We will see you again soon. Chat, we'll keep going for just a little bit, but Philmington has to peace out. So thanks for stopping in for a little bit, buddy. We will catch you
Yeah.
later. Go check
Yeah,
out
they do.
Philmington's channel if
Yep.
you haven't. He puts out content like once a month.
If that. Yeah. Instagram too, eBay store. But yeah, thanks for having me on. We got to do a baseball episode one of these days.
For sure. We'll catch you later, Philmington.
All right.
All right, Philmington, thanks for popping on for a little bit. We'll keep going a little bit. So don't run away quite yet. We'll turn the attention to chat. I know I was kind of, I don't want to say ignoring you guys, but wasn't as interactive with chat as I typically am on these live streams because when you have a guest on, it is hard to juggle, and we were in a pretty solid conversation there. So tag is the best hand slabs down. I have not held one in hand yet, so I cannot personally comment on that. I've seen them in person, but I have not actually picked one up. I would agree with this. He's, I don't know them all directly. He is definitely the most transparent. I will give him that for sure. Actually DMing with him yesterday a little bit. I want an HGA vertical slab to use as a coaster, but I haven't been able to find one at a reasonable price. I just don't think people are going to be accepting of the grading scale. I don't know. I think there's a lot of things going against tag. As interesting as the concept actually is. Thoughts on Anime 2 and What If? I've not seen any details on What If yet. I did see the Anime 2. I'm excited about it. I never got to rip Anime 1. The boxes got too expensive. This is Marvel cards for those that have no idea what I'm talking about. I will try to get some boxes of Anime. I should get at least one for sure. But yeah, I definitely want to rip that. I don't know how investable of a product that is. Anime, the thing that was super popular about that was the achievements and some of the rare parallels. So I don't know how well, like just ripping a box, you're going to get your value back out of it. Yeah, I need to get hands on a tag slab, apparently. I have not been able to do that quite yet. Like I said, I've seen them. I just haven't held one yet. But oh, goodness. What a week. What a week in the sports card world. I am contented out. That is for sure. The amount of content I've put out in the last 48 hours has been absolutely wild with all this nonsense going on. So, chat, any questions, concerns, comments that you want to throw out there before we kind of wrap this bad boy up? Someone's talking about Arena Club in chat. Listen, when it comes to the pop-ups, there's little to no use case for a pop-up grading company in my view. We just saw last week ECG went bankrupt, which I know we never really talked about them, but any of these small grading companies could go under extremely easily. I'm just not willing to tie my cards up or have them sitting around at these fly-by-night places if things go sideways. And then if they go sideways, then you got to crack the card out and send it somewhere else anyway. We have, before yesterday, 4 very good, competent grading companies. There's no reason for me not to use one of the big 4, whether that's PSA, SGC, Beckett, or CSG/CGC. You have 4 great options there to choose from. There's no reason to use one of the fly-by-nights, in my opinion. Oh, Mint I haven't talked to anyone that was actually like working the show floor at Mint. I've just talked to some industry people that were doing stuff. Yeah, I have too many questions about the whole AI stuff in general. We don't know who's making decisions behind the scenes there, so it's hard to say who should be in trouble and who shouldn't be. So it's easy for me to sit here and say, chop off X, Y, or Z person's head, but we don't know what's going on behind closed doors. I mean, I guess ultimately their newer CEO, I'm blanking on his name at the moment, is, you know, the buck technically stops with him, but you don't know what's going on behind closed doors. The weekly sports card market update is already locked and loaded for tomorrow morning. I recorded it right before I hopped on this live stream, actually. I don't know personally anyone that uses ISA. I've seen them set up. They set up at the Ship Shawana show. Once again, I'm going to go back to why are we using ISA when you can submit to PSA, Beckett, SGC, or CSG? I truly do not understand the person. And I mean, no offense to anyone, I just don't understand the mindset of I have 4 actually like legitimate grading companies, and I am going to actively choose to send something to one of these random ones, just kind of lumping them all together in one shot. I've been pushing for grader notes from one of the major 4 companies forever. None of them wants to jump on that ship, so. Boy, I don't know a thing about Pokemon singles, man. Not a thing. I buy the sealed wax. I got stacks of it behind me, but I don't know crap about the singles. What's my plans for the Luka and Tatum BGS slabs that you own? My plans are the same as what I advocated for in yesterday's video. I'm playing the wait and see game. I am in no hurry to sell those cards. So I am going to let things play itself out. I am not going to make a stupid rash decision right now in the heat of the moment. And I'm just going to let things play itself out. And then I will make a determination from there. I'll see what Beckett ends up doing, and then I'll see how the secondary market reacts to that. Because I have other stuff in BGS 9.5 slabs too. You know, like my Giannis rookie is another one. I showed this earlier on stream. Like, this is a min gem plus. Like, what am I going to do with this, depending on how this all plays out? So I do have a vested interest in this to some degree. We'll see what happens. You know, I'm not going to rush in and start cracking slabs and sending things to cross over and this, that, and the other thing until things play out. Now, if I was actively trying to move those cards, that might be a little bit trickier. I don't have a good answer for you because I'm not in that mindset right now. I don't know a single person that sends the ISA. My problem is that PC cards sometimes become cards I want to sell, and now I'm stuck with it in a fly-by-night slab. I mean, grading everywhere is inconsistent, you could argue. You could probably do the same thing with other grading companies and get similar results, to be honest. I bought a lot of seal wax. When are you going to start to unwind some of that? The TCG stuff, not for a while. The Pokemon stuff, I am in no hurry to sell that stuff, man. Pokemon feels pretty good right now. I am evaluating my current stock of baseball stuff and what I may end up doing with some of that. Pick for the NBA Finals. My preseason pick was the Nuggets and the Sixers. I will stick with that just for consistency's sake. I'm going to wait for the full playoffs to come out before I reevaluate things. I don't know how good I feel about the Sixers right now, mostly because of the James Harden industry. PSA won't regrade serial numbered cards. I mean, that's fine. That's fine. I mean, that's no big deal. There's lots of non-serial number cards that you can send in. I mean, is it? I don't know. I don't know. I don't know that that's a problem or not. You know, I think a lot of people know that Andy's the head grader at CSG. That's kind of what matters. I haven't seen one. I mean, the Pokemon that I have, I've already made like a 20 to 30% profit on it. and just having it for the last year on most of the stuff. So I don't know if I'm going to be holding it for 15 years, or 5 years rather, but of my sealed wax air quotes portfolio, the Pokemon stuff is at the bottom of the list of things for me to sell. Right above that is Magic the Gathering, and then above that is the sports stuff. I do plan on being at Hartville on Saturday. I should be there. I'm not going out of town next weekend. Yeah, I feel pretty good about my Pokemon hold. I might consider moving off a little bit of it, or like winding some of it down if it gets super crazy. But the whole purpose of when I bought that was not to short term flip it. So, but I may look at some hobby boxes of baseball and stuff like that, depending on. I kind of wanted to let the baseball season play itself out a little bit, because I figured if, like, 2022 Topps update, for example, we'll just use that as an example. The supply on that is starting to dry up a little bit. Don't get me wrong, there's tons of it out there, but you're not finding it on retail shelves anymore, or at least, very rarely. So prices are starting to uptick on that. Hangers, for example, 2022 update hangers are flirting with $30 a hanger. If anyone from that class comes out and starts hot, I'm assuming it's going to give a little bit of a demand push. And with that class being as deep as it is, there's a lot of different options for how that can play out. So I'm kind of taking the shotgun approach to it there. I just need one or two of those guys to get a little trendy, and just the natural how wax moves of, there's constantly less supply in the marketplace. If that happened, I may look to start to offload some of that to then take that money and buy new product coming out. We'll see. But that's the kind of stuff that I'm looking at from the baseball perspective. I don't do much with hockey at all. He had a pretty good night one, I believe. I need to get down to a Pirates game. I love their stadium. The team sucks, but man, they probably have one of the best stadiums in baseball, if not the best stadium in baseball. It is gorgeous. LeBron prices are probably going to dip again, in all honesty. They're not going to go deep into the playoffs, so there's probably a decent chance we see a little bit of a downtick. They did actually tick up a little bit this past week with him coming back, or at least that's my theory. But I don't expect them to make a deep playoff run. I really don't. So if they get bounced, then I could see his stuff dipping back down slightly. Yeah, I need a case of Scarlet and Violet. I don't have one yet. We should trade, McCracken. I'll ship you some more boxes of Fleer Ultra Avengers or something, or something else I got laying around. I got plenty of wax laying around. If you want to trade a case of Scarlet and Violet, let me know. We can figure something out. Mint Collective, and this is from an outsider looking in on Mint Collective, because I strongly considered going this year and ended up not going. If you're going to buy and sell cards, I don't think it's worth it. That's my perspective from an outsider looking in. If you are in the industry or tangentially related to the industry, or work in and out of the industry, or side hustle it, it's probably worth going to Elbow Run, Gossip, Inside Scoop, build connections, that sort of stuff. The Mint should be treated more as a networking event than as a card show, in my opinion. That's coming from someone that has never gone, but has talked to a lot of people that have gone. That's just my 2 cents on it. I am not touching this one, Blue Thunder. Yeah, I heard last year the show was very much secondary than this year. I did see, I don't know if anyone was at Chantilly today, but the stuff I saw on social, Chantilly looked freaking packed. Like, absolutely packed. You know, I don't know. It seemed like it was super busy. I don't know how much of that was card traffic versus autograph traffic. That's the thing that you never really know. Oh, that's good. Okay. I remember last year it was a little bit of a different setup. Yeah, that's the thing with Pokemon. It's just the floor is so high on it. It's ridiculous. Ooh, that'll be interesting. Yeah, that's the thing. Same thing with the Philly show. It's hard to distinguish how much of the traffic is there because of the autos or because of the card show. And Chantilly always has a banger autograph lineup, and this one was no different. Did my Fleer Ultra Avengers case purchase pay off or not? Way too soon to say, but probably not. I still have 4 boxes. I've opened some. I sold a couple at cost to some people that I know, and then I probably lost on the ones that I opened just because I hit some decent stuff, but at $3.50 a box or $3 to $3.50 a box, it's pretty tough to get your value back out of it. But it was a fun product to open. I didn't necessarily buy that as like a pure investment piece. But I still have 4 boxes left. I may end up stashing those or trading them or selling them. I don't know. We'll see. But I'd probably say a slight loss. Not like major. I didn't get gutted on it or anything like that. Asian TikTok girls. What a YouTube handle. Yes, I have done videos on the Disney 100 cards. Too expensive, man. 600 a box. No thanks. No, thank you. No, I don't usually mess around with Leaf stuff. Fleer Ultra Avengers is a fun rip. The cards look and feel great. I mean, I have a stack of them actually. This is all Fleer Ultra Avenger cards sitting right here. They feel fantastic in hand and they look really good. It's a really fun rip. There's a lot of fun stuff on them if you're a set builder or a chaser. I think we get Marvel Annual next week. Upper Deck is just cranking out Marvel sets. I should be getting a box of Marvel Annual, so we'll probably rip a box of that when it gets in. So I basically get, at least for the time being anyway, we'll see how long it lasts, 1 box of every Marvel release to open on the channel. So yeah, I mean, people are printing money on Disney if you got in early enough. Yeah, cases are 6,000 now. Easily 6,000. Definitely missed the boat on that one. It'll be interesting to see what Lorcana does on release. I mean, it is premium because it's more expensive to produce the card. So it's typically reserved for more premium products because it is more expensive to physically produce the card. And it also just feels premium in your hand. Uh-oh. Drunk Charles Fuchs in the house. You never know what's going to happen when alcohol and Charles mix together. Having seen it in person in Atlanta and in Atlantic City, it could get a little wild out there. Better offload those things, Gene. Marvel Annual is a base entry-level product. It is a super fun rip. I don't think it's very investable. We'll see what I haven't really sat down and looked at the inserts yet and the single list. I'm sure Justin Spidey Hits has done multiple breakdowns on it at this point. So I'm not like super familiar with the big chases, but it is a lower end entry-level product. If you have kids and you want to rip Marvel with them, it's probably fantastic for that. I didn't rip the last set of Marvel Annual. This will be the first Marvel Annual that I opened, assuming that I get a box. But yeah, Marvel Annual is just a good, cheap, fun rip. That's what it's designed for. I would rather rip Marvel Annual than like most of the MCU show stuff. That's for sure. I don't know what to tell you, Captain Crockpot. When you hold a thicker card, it feels more premium in your hand. And I don't know what the cost basis is on a thicker stock card versus a lower stock card. Yeah, it's kind of wild that Disney, someone at Disney has to be taking notes on this Disney 100 stuff and be like, how the hell did we let this happen and we're not the ones behind it? That's wild. Charles, man, you got to watch out. Got to watch out. Charles is a wild ride. Yeah, I'm playing fantasy baseball. I did one NFBC league, just a lower end one, and then I have like, I don't know, $100 in best ball leagues on Underdog. I'm a big fan of the Underdog leagues. They're simple. I don't have a ton of time to mess around. They just kind of do themselves. It's fun doing all the drafts. Maybe slightly. Those are also good lower end rips. I do have 5 boxes of beginnings pre-ordered. That set was supposed to come out like a year ago and still isn't out. So I'll have some boxes of that. And I did order 2 boxes of Allegiances just because I'm a huge X-Men fan, just to kind of see what that set's all about. So when is the last time I bought into a break? I have never bought into a break. I've never bought into a break my entire life. I don't like breaks. It would be, I don't know what circumstance that I would buy into a break. It just doesn't make sense to me. I'd rather just go buy the card, honestly. Speaking of which, I probably missed out on this eBay auction ending. I'm going to be mad. Did I miss it? Damn it. Sure did. Shoot. Not happy about that one. What are you going to do? That always happens. I do live streams and then I miss auctions ending. Tisk tisk. Is there anything else to know about this? No. Okay. We're good now. I'm sure there will be after the success of this set. That's for sure. Oh, I didn't realize they were doing jambalayas and what ifs. Interesting. No, buying into breaks is gambling. It's not fun. I'm you know, if I want to buy into a break, I'll just buy the box and rip it myself. Yeah, seriously. The Prism Monopoly cards? No thanks. I'm not touching those things. I'm good on that, Bowman. Nice try, though. Sounds like gambling to me. Charles spitting facts with the smash the like button. I don't even bother saying like, comment, and subscribe anymore in videos. The Cavs are so Jekyll and Hyde, man. They could either make the Eastern Conference Finals or get bounced in the first round. Neither scenario would actually surprise me, to be quite honest. They are all over the place. Just glancing down at the UConn score. UConn up 8 on old Miami of Florida. I mean, I'm not going to sit here and argue with you, Captain Crockpot. We disagree. So, I mean, you have your opinion. I don't agree with it, and it's perfectly fine. I'm not going to sit here and argue back and forth with you about it. What else do we got? Lakers, Bucks. No, Lakers suck. Lakers will be lucky to get out of the play-in, and they're definitely not getting out of the first round. They can't even stay healthy. I mean, I told you my point of view. The cards look and feel better in your hand, and anything on a thicker base stock is typically labeled as a premium based product. It is more expensive to produce. Yeah, that's the problem. Is the Celtics and Bucks are just way too good, and I think even the Knicks are going to give them hell. I really do. That's if he can stay on the court for longer than 15 minutes at a time. Mavs do suck. I talk about the Mavs in tomorrow's video. All right, we're probably going to wrap up here. It's halftime of this basketball game, or about to be halftime. That'll give me time to reposition up to the bedroom and watch the second half, relaxing a little bit after cranking out a boatload of content. So tomorrow, we have the weekly sports card market update. Monday, we have, we'll probably do gem rate data. And then I also picked up, I'm not going to spoil it. I know a lot of times I spoil cards on live streams. I picked up a monster card, an absolute grail level card, in my opinion. I know grail gets thrown around very loosely these days, but it is what it is. I picked up a huge PC card that I bought last week. It finally made its way through eBay Authenticity and showed up today. That video is recorded. I got to upload it, thumbnail it, all that jazz. That'll probably be out Tuesday, pending industry nonsense, which you can, who knows anymore. But yeah, huge card. So I'm looking at it right now. It's sitting right there in front of me. I got it all lined up in a nice little row. Super pumped about this card. I've been chasing this card for over a year and finally locked it down. And it feels great. Feels fantastic. So that'll probably be Tuesday's video. I think we get, actually Monday are probably going to be a double video. I have a feeling, I really do, we'll probably get some sort of PSA pricing special on Monday. I have no idea what it's going to be. But we'll probably get something. I've heard no whispers, no nothing. My guess is that we get more Beckett news this week. There's been rumors that they're going to run a pricing special of some sort, but I don't know if that went out the window with all the other nonsense going on. So we'll see what happens with that. And then we're probably going to get more news out of them regarding the grading changes. So we'll see what happens with that as well. But no, I'm not showing it. Not this one. I usually spoil cards that I pick up on the live streams. I'm not doing it for this one. I'm not. It's too much of a banger. You're not getting a spoiler on this one. No spoilers. You're going to have to wait till Tuesday or Wednesday if there's a bunch of industry nonsense. So. Yeah, I mean, some days the hobby does definitely feel like a soap opera. It really does. Beckett booth was a ghost town in Chantilly today. I bet that it would be. So, all right, ladies and gentlemen, go watch the second half of the Final Four game. We will catch you guys early tomorrow morning for the weekly sports card market update. Plenty of content on the channel. I've been running my mouth way too much the last 48 hours. Everyone have a nice weekend. We will catch you boys and girls on the next one. Peace.